Everything you have been told about renting is mathematically wrong, not partially wrong, not wrong in some markets, wrong in a foundational, calculator-level way that has cost an entire generation of Americans hundreds of thousands of dollars they did not know they were losing. And the reason it has cost them is that the lie is so old, so widely repeated, and so emotionally reassuring that almost no one has bothered to sit down and run the actual numbers in 2026. Renting is throwing money away. Buying builds wealth. You have heard this from your parents, your uncle, your coworker, every realtor you have ever met, and roughly every personal finance influencer who has ever picked up a microphone. And on the surface, the logic seems obvious. When you pay rent, the money goes to the landlord and disappears. When you pay a mortgage, the money builds equity in something you own. One is throwing money away. The other is building wealth. Case closed. Except the case is not closed. The case has never actually been opened, because the people repeating this line have almost never compared the true monthly cost of owning a $415,000 home to the true monthly cost of renting the equivalent apartment, and then run the math on what the difference invested for 30 years would actually become. When you do that, the answer is not what your uncle told you at Thanksgiving. The answer is that in a significant percentage of American markets, in 2026, the renter who invests the difference ends up with more wealth than the homeowner who feels like he is building wealth. Today, I want to walk you through exactly what that math looks like, why the renting myth became gospel in the first place, and the honest counter-argument for why some people should still buy anyway. Picture Tyler. Tyler is 29 years old, works as a marketing manager at a mid-sized firm in Chicago and earns $74,000 per year. He has been renting a one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood for the past 4 years. His rent is $2,000 per month. He has saved up approximately $95,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account, and his parents have been asking him the same question at every family dinner for the last 2 years. When are you going to stop throwing your money away on rent and buy a house? Tyler is starting to feel guilty. He sees his friends buying homes. He hears the same line over and over. He starts looking at houses online. The median home in his area costs $415,000. He runs the rough numbers. 20% down, which is $83,000. A mortgage of $332,000 at 6.75% over 30 years. The principal and interest payment comes out to roughly $2,154 per month. Tyler looks at that number, compares it to his $2,000 rent, and thinks the math is basically a wash. $150 extra per month to start building equity instead of throwing it away. Obvious decision. This is where almost every first-time buyer in America makes the same mistake. Tyler is comparing the visible cost of renting to the visible cost of owning. He is not comparing the actual cost of either one. And the gap between the visible cost of homeownership and the actual cost of homeownership is the single most consequential financial blind spot in the entire personal finance landscape. Let me show you the real math. That $2,154 mortgage payment is just the principal and interest. It is the part most people quote when they talk about their monthly cost. Now we add property taxes, which in most American markets run roughly 1.1% of home value per year. On a $415,000 house, that is $4,565 per year, or $380 per month. We add homeowner's insurance, roughly $150 per month for a home of this value. We add the maintenance and repair rule, which is 1% of home value per year. The number every actual homeowner will eventually confirm to you is more or less accurate over a long enough time frame. That is $4,150 per year, or $346 per month, and that is the number the brochure never mentions. Add it up. $2,154 in mortgage, $380 in taxes, $150 in insurance, $346 in maintenance. The real monthly cost of owning Tyler's hypothetical $415,000 home is approximately $3,030 per month, not $2,154, not $2,154, plus a small fudge factor, $3,030 every single month for 30 years. That is $1,030 per month more than Tyler is currently paying in rent. $12,360 per year more. And that is before we have even talked about the part of this that almost nobody calculates, the $95,000. When Tyler buys the house, he has to write a check for $83,000 in down payment, plus roughly $12,450 in closing costs. Call it $95,000 total that walks out the door on day one and converts itself into home equity that he cannot touch without selling the house or borrowing against it. That $95,000 was previously sitting in a brokerage account or a high-yield savings account where it was working for him at 5, 7, 8% per year. The day he buys the house, that money stops working for him in the financial markets and starts working for him through home appreciation, which historically has averaged roughly 3.5% per year over the long run. This is what economists call opportunity cost. It is the cost of what you could have done with the money instead. And it is the single largest hidden expense in homeownership, and the one almost no homeowner ever calculates. Now, let me show you what happens if Tyler keeps renting and invests the difference. Scenario 1. Tyler buys the house. He puts down $95,000. He pays $3,030 per month for 10 years. The house appreciates at 3.5% per year. After 10 years, the house is worth approximately $586,000. His remaining mortgage balance, after 10 years of payments at 6.75%, is approximately $282,000. His equity is $304,000. If he sells, he pays roughly 8% in transaction costs, which is $47,000 in realtor fees and closing expenses. His net walkaway is approximately $257,000. Scenario 2. Tyler keeps renting at $2,000 per month. He takes his $95,000 down payment and invests it in a low-cost index fund. He also takes the $1,030 monthly difference between renting and the true cost of owning, and he invests that every single month. At an average annual return of 8% after 10 years, his initial $95,000 has grown to approximately $206,000. His ongoing monthly contributions have grown to approximately $189,000. His total portfolio is approximately $395,000. Liquid, tradable, no realtor fees, no closing costs. Tyler the renter has approximately $138,000 more wealth than Tyler the homeowner. After 10 years, in the exact same housing market, doing nothing more complicated than renting an apartment and buying an index fund. This is the math nobody shows you. This is the math that has been intentionally and unintentionally buried for 40 years under the cultural assumption that homeownership is wealth building and renting is wealth burning. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The renter is not throwing money away. The renter is paying the true cost of shelter, while the homeowner is paying the true cost of shelter, plus the opportunity cost of his locked up capital, plus the appreciation roulette of a single concentrated asset in a single geographic location. Now, why did this myth become gospel? The answer is partly historical. For most of the 20th century, mortgage rates were lower, home prices were lower relative to incomes, transaction costs were a smaller percentage of total wealth, and stock market access was limited to the wealthy. In 1970, the median home cost roughly 2 times the median household income. In 2026, the median home costs roughly 4.8 times the median household income. The math that worked for your grandparents does not work for you because the inputs have changed by a factor of more than 2. The myth survived. The math that justified it did not. And here is the honest counterargument, because there always is one. Homeownership has real advantages that do not show up in a spreadsheet. A fixed-rate mortgage locks in your housing cost for 30 years while rent goes up every year with inflation. That is genuinely valuable, especially in high-inflation environments like the one we are currently living through. Homeownership is a form of forced savings, and most Americans, honestly, will never actually invest the difference. They will spend it. If you are the kind of person who would take that $1,000 a month and put it toward a nicer car or a bigger vacation budget instead of an index fund, then the homeowner wins by default because the bank is forcing him to save. There is emotional value in owning the place you live. There is stability for raising children. There is the freedom to renovate, to own a dog without asking permission, to plant a tree and watch it grow. None of that shows up in the math. All of it is real. So buying a home is not a financial mistake for everyone. It is a financial mistake for the specific person who buys it without understanding that the wealth-building story he has been told is incomplete. And who would have built more wealth by renting and investing if he had only known the numbers? The practical takeaway is this. If you are going to live somewhere for at least 7 to 10 years, if you have the discipline to handle unexpected maintenance costs, if you value the lifestyle benefits of ownership, and if you have already maxed out your other tax-advantaged investment accounts, then buying may make sense for you. If you are going to move in 3 years, if your career is unsettled, if you do not have a fully funded emergency reserve beyond your down payment, or if you live in one of the high-cost markets where the rent-to-price ratio is severely tilted toward renting, then renting and investing, the difference is not throwing money away. It is the mathematically superior path to wealth, and anyone who tells you otherwise has not run the numbers. So here is where I want to hear from you. Are you currently renting and feeling guilty about it because of the cultural pressure to buy, even though the math in your specific city actually favors renting? Or are you a homeowner who has run the real numbers and concluded that the lifestyle and stability benefits are worth the opportunity cost? Full stop. Or do you think this whole framing misses the point because homeownership is not really about math, it is about putting down roots and building something that lasts? Drop your honest answer in the comments. Because this is the decision almost everyone watching this video is wrestling with privately, and I want to bring it into the open.